All right, folks, there's the stock carburetor that we are about to replace right here. You can see they have the idle speed screw in a non-tamper position here. They got some kind of stuff, glue or something over it, so you can't adjust it. So the thing barely idles. The idle should have been up more. But anyway, we're going to resolve all that. We had to remove the airbox, get it out of our way, get this other carb on here. The choke is going to be different. This one has a choke on it. All right, first things first, I'm going to remove this airbox, get that out of my way, so I can get in there and work and see what I'm doing. There's a small hose here, the boot to the carb, and then on the other side's another small hose. You'll have to bear with me. I'm trying to film and do the work all at the same time, so you just use your common sense if you can't see everything I'm doing. Then we got a bolt there, and one on the other side looks like it's holding the box there. Just do the best you can if you're trying to follow along. Darn camera. It always does whatever it wants to do. They say it's a software thing. Let's be smart about this. First, remove your airbox lid. Then you can easily access your screws. All right, like we talked about, all three screws are loose, and I should be able to remove all the hoses and the box. Let's loosen up the box bolts. Sorry, I'm trying to do this without getting in your way so you can see, but it makes me have to work backwards and left-handed. Basically just, oh man, there's probably a nut on the bottom of that thing. Are you kidding me? Stand by. Okay, so sure enough, they put a nut on the back of here just to make things just that much more fun. 10mm nut on the back, 8 on the front. Yours may vary though. And again, see, my hand's gonna have to be in the way because, all right, so anyway, remove those nuts and bolts. Okay, bolts removed. Then just dislodge all your hoses here. All right, try again. Camera failed. Okay, so the camera stopped on me again. Anyway, got everything disconnected, and I'm going to remove my airbox. I'm just going to take mine down out of the bottom for now and set it out of the way. Okay, first shut your fuel off on your tank underneath on the petcock. All right, let's see if this angle works. So first thing you want to do is get your slide out of your carburetor, and you just unscrew this cap here. And this is your throttle cable going in here. And in here is your slide. You'll see when I pull it out. I'll try to get my hand out of the way again. And there is the slide to your carburetor. Goes down inside. We're going to change that out with the new one, but for now, don't bend your cable, but just move that out of your way so you can remove your carburetor. Okay, we got a fuel line we got to deal with, so. All right, now we just need to unhook everything from the carb. We got a little choke cable here that we need to get rid of. Okay, what I decided to do, because of the placement of this screw on the choke cable, you can't get a screwdriver in there because of the oil cooler. So I'm going to remove the carb with everything on it, turn it, and then take the stuff off that way. I'm going to pull the fuel line off, so have you an old dirty rag or something ready that you can catch the fuel with. There's going to be a little bit in the line. You'll see what I'm talking about. All right, now I know you. My hands are going to be in the way again, but can you see those? Yep. I'm going to remove these bolts, this side and that side right there. Okay, finally, one thread at a time, I got the bolts loosened, and I'm just going to slide that off like that. And see, now I can get my, is it in the camera? Barely. Right here, now I can take my fuel line off, and I can get to this choke cable. Here, I'll get a little closer for that. Hold on. Real quick like. Okay, here's my fuel line that I had to remove, little clamp. And then I got this choke cable, which is held on here by that Phillips screw right there at the tip of my thumb. And that was being blocked by that oil cooler right there, so we couldn't get screwdriver in. Okay, so just remove those two things. Let me get the camera back up. Sorry guys, I'm by myself. I'm a little, not in a hurry, but yeah, I can't take all day to do this, so I'm kind of in a hurry. And I just got my cameras clamped up here on the bar. Hold on. Oh, you guys are loving me. Okay. Yeah, this is the worst how-to ever. And I know my hand's in the way again. I'm just taking out a screw. If you can't figure that part out, then you probably shouldn't be attempting this. No kidding. If you have to question about the screw. Okay, so here's where, let's put a little rag down here, something. We're going to get a little bit of residual gas. Little bit came out. Okay, yeah, I'll just put that right on there. Sorry guys, I couldn't see what's going on. So here's the old carb we just pulled off. Okay guys, next thing we got to do is we got to mount the intake boot onto that piece right there on the engine with the supplied thermal block and gasket. Of course, the first thing I noticed, the gasket would go towards the engine because this has a little O-ring. But the first thing I noticed is we put all this together and then put our bolt in. Okay. What happens here is the bolt is supposed to thread into, it's not going to focus on it properly, but there you go. See, there's threads in there, but there's no hole here. So the bolt's supposed to thread into there, but let me see. And this thing goes a certain way too. It's, if you see the holes, it kind of goes like that, where the holes are closer to the top. But anyway, what I was going to say is the bolt is going to be too long. That is already on there. I know it's kind of hard to see. If you look right here where my finger is, you can see the bolt's going to be too long. So first things first, got to get some bolts. Okay, so I'm getting there. I made it kind of hard on myself because what you want to have in here is a 6mm by 1 bolt with an 8mm head shoulder bolt. I don't have any of them available. I've got some with a 10mm nut on the end, but that's okay. It just takes a little longer to tighten them up because you can't get all the way around it. So anyway, I'm going to tighten this up and then I'll show you what we're talking about. Alrighty, I got my boot adapter bolted onto my intake manifold, and now we just slip on the carb. All right, my directions say for my area, I should run the 40 pilot jet and the 118 main jet. So I'm going to pull this bow off of here and see what jets are in there. All right, so I just removed the screws out of the bowl. There's one there and one down there. And then I'll pop off the bowl and we'll find out what jet is in here. Let's see what we got. Looks like there's a 115 in there. Here, let me do it this way. A little glare, but there we go. Number 115. A little hard to see, guys. Just trust me. Let's see what pilot's in here. Okay, guys, so the 40 pilot jet or idle jet is already in place. We're going to leave that there, and I'm going to switch out this 115 with the 118. The way you're going to do that is just loosen your jet right out of the emulsion tube. Sorry about my cruddy fingers. I work for a living. You just unscrew it like that. There it is. And then I get my 118. Okay, I got my 118. And all I got to do is screw that back in there. Left-handed, why I try to hold the camera with the right hand. Okay, so the 118's in there. That's what they say I need in my area. So I'm going to snug that up. All right. And then I'll put my plastic piece back on. Ta-da. While I got the carb out, I'm going to look at my float here a little bit, make sure that's about level. It's a little off. We're going to leave her alone so we don't overflow it. That's not too bad. You could get precise and check what it's supposed to be, but from me doing this all the time, it looks good to me. Let's get it back together, installed. All right, guys. So we got our carb back together. All we got to do now is slip this spigot inside of that boot right there. That's the next thing we got to do. First, we'll get our clamp the way we like, so it's easy to get to, like that, facing up. And then spit on it. If it's too snug for you, you can always put a little heat on that boot with like a hair dryer. But boy, that went in like butter, didn't it? Let's see what we got. Let's move everything out of our way. There we are. Our new manifold bolted on, or our new boot bolted onto the manifold. Carb slipped in. Now you want to tighten this clamp up with that screw right there, and then we're going to talk about the slide. Okay, guys, we're going to remove our slide out of our new carb. Same thing. Sorry about everything in the way. Just unscrew it. And we're going to hope. Okay, so what we have here is we got the cap and the spring. Do not lose any of these parts, and do not get them out of order. I do this all the time, so I know what's going on, but if you don't, okay. So I just pulled our slide up out of there. Okay. And now this is what it all looks like when it's together. But the new carb is larger. So we're hoping the cable works. Hopefully got all that figured out here. But this is basically what we're going to have. We're going to take this apart, and I'll set the camera in the tripod so you can kind of see what I'm doing. And we're going to put all of our new stuff on this throttle cable. All right, I'm going to see if I can do this where you all can see it. So basically you got a cable running down through here, and then it actually goes underneath, and then there's the end of the cable. So what you have to do is compress the spring so the slide will move up so your cable will have slack in it, and then you're going to pull it. You're going to pull it out and go right up through this slot and pull it out of that hole right there. So I don't know if sometimes it's a little tough to do. We'll see if you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so I got the tension off of the spring. If you can see that, I got it in my hand. Now I'm going to push my cable out. You see that? There's the end of the cable right here. And then now it's up in the slot, and it's going to go out of that hole, and presto. And I know it's hard to see, guys. Bear with me. I'm a good mechanic. I'm not great on the camera. Okay, so then we're going to take our spring off. Oh, where are we at? The camera's moving. Okay, sorry. So we got the cable out. Now we take our spring off. And then we're going to pull this top off of our cable. I got to peel this back here, so bear with me. Let me get a screwdriver. Let me peel this boot back. It's kind of tight. Okay, it popped off pretty easy once I pulled the boot back. Okay, this is what we end up with here. Here's our top. So let's try to put our new stuff on there and see if they got it all figured out the way it's supposed to be. Here's our new top, so I can remove this rubber boot because we got a new rubber boot on ours. And actually what I do, take it off, get it out of your way. Go ahead and slide that on your cable first. Get it up over here. It's a tight fit. It's supposed to keep out dirt and water and all that. So sometimes they're a little bit tight, and sometimes they're a lot tight. Okay, so I just slid it up over the end of the cable. Going to slide our new top on. We got a new big whopping spring here. And we're going to try this, guys. Hoping they got it right. Bear with me. Okay, here's our nice new slide. And we're going to do it in reverse. This one don't have a hole to come out of. So all we got to do, once again, is get our cable. Hang on. Hold on. Let me get the little washer. All right, beware of this little sleeve. Sorry, that was up in the slide. And maybe you saw it the first time because now the camera does not want to focus on it. Anyway, that was up inside of the slide. Now, they all don't have this, so that was something I wasn't expecting to happen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to put it on my cable with the spring and then do my cable again for you. So stand by. All right, so now that I got you all screwed up, once again, got our cap on. There's our cable. Here goes our spring. Compress it. Here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in that spring because that's what it does. It seats that spring. Okay, and I don't know if you caught that, but I basically put that round piece in the spring, And now, back to our slide again. There's our little hole we're looking for. And we're going to put our cable. Let me see if I can get my hand under here. We're going to put our cable down in that little hole. See that? And then it just simply goes inside the slide. And this might be a little tough. We got to get that piece in there. Oh, there it goes. It popped in. Okay. Can you see everything? Here, I'll get the camera closer. And we'll see what we got. Maybe. Okay, so yeah, now we have the big one on here. You can see down in there the little piece talking about make sure your spring is seated. I'm going to move it all around here before I put it in there and make sure it's good and seated in there. But this is what we got now. I can back the camera off a little. Okay. And then we're going to, once I get it seated, we're going to slide that right down in our carb. You'll see. All right, let's try to do this here. Again, let me make sure. I just pull it back. Make sure it looks like it's in there. Everything looks good. Okay, so on your carb, let me move this. You can see right here is going to be your idle speed knob. So when you turn that, a little piston goes in. The tip of it goes in there, and it rubs against this beveled edge. That's right there. And that makes your slide go up or down. The other side has the groove where we put the cable through right here. And there's a guide pin inside of the carb. I'll show you. All right, I thought I was going to show you, but it's so shiny it won't focus. Oh, there maybe. There is a little pin on that side. When you get yours, you'll see. Right at the tip of my finger. It's kind of funny looking, but there's a little piece sticking out, and that's where that groove goes. Yeah, it's just so shiny in there. So yeah, the slide wants to go on that groove, and then it's got a seat all the way down. All right, so like I was telling you, I'm going to line that up, that groove, with that piece on the inside of that carb. And what you have to make sure is that it all gets lined up and it goes all the way down in the carb. Okay, and see, it's not lined up. You can see the top of the slide is still sticking out a little bit, so you got to turn it a little bit. Look, and there it dropped in. That's how you know you're in there. Don't put this cap on. Wait a minute. Let me go around this darn cable here. Same thing. I'm going to line it up with that piece, and then wham, down it goes. Okay, and then let me get my cable pushed down here. Then we got to get this top on. Make sure you get it on nice and square. Don't cross thread it. Sometimes these are a little tricky. I spin it backwards, and you'll feel it kind of drop and seat. Famous last words. Hold on, guys. The casting's a little rough here. This only happens when you have the camera on. Okay, got it. So it should turn real easy. That's how you know. If you get this cross-threaded, you're in trouble, because the threads are just, it's just like pot metal or something. It should spin real easy, and then it gets snug when it seals up. And that's it. I mean, oh, I forgot to tell you that I already hooked up the fuel line. Isn't this a great instructional video? Yeah, I already hooked up my fuel line back to the fuel port right there. Okay, you just hook it right back up where you took it off. And then now we just got to figure out how to get the airbox on. Sometimes they say it's a little tough because the length changed a little bit, but that's basically it there. I'm going to put the airbox back on. That's basically the installation right there. You could run it like this right now. I wouldn't advise running without the airbox, but I'm saying that at this point, you could start it up and run it. We're going to go ahead and put the airbox on, finish the installation, and then see what we got. All right, so if you're going to use the stock airbox, just like I thought, this distance gets bigger because the carburetor is bigger, and then your mounting holes no longer line up. So I'm just going to let you guys figure that out for yourself, what you're going to do there. Okay, so an important thing about this kit is you no longer use the choke cable anymore because you don't have a choke now. You have what's called an enrichener, which is this knob right here that you'll pull up, start it, and then when it's started, you'll push it down. And you just simply reach around from the seat to do that. That's how you'll choke. So you can remove this cable, or you can just tuck it somewhere or do whatever you want with it, but you will have an extra cable with this. Now, you could get a cable with a choke plunger on it made if you want to. You could get one made up. I doubt they sell one that long. Maybe they do. I don't know. I haven't investigated that. The customer and I talked about it. He's fine with just pulling that and not going through any additional stuff. So there you have it. There's the installation. It wasn't a great tutorial, but it may help some people, and that's what matters. Okay, we're going to see. It's going to take a little bit. This thing has a little pump on it, so it'll take a little bit to fill that carb up. But we're going to go ahead and see how she runs with initial settings. All right, folks, warmed up and adjusted, tuned in. Yeah, I can already tell that's a lot better. This after, we did the before, this after ride is going to be awesome. All right, let's check it out.